Okay, the first thing on the agenda is the public comment session. So if there's anybody, any member of the public or staff that wants to step up to the microphone and state your name and address, and you have 2 minutes to speak about any issue, whether it's on the agenda or not. So first call, anyone wishing to speak before the board. And we're really not all that scary. Okay, I have to call 3 times. Second time, is anyone wishing to speak before the board on any issue? Okay, seeing none, third call, anyone wishing to speak before the board on any issue? Okay, we close the public session. Thank you. Public comment session. I'd ask for approval of the county board minutes of August 27th, 2019. They're on page 12 of the agenda if anyone's following the copy. Does anyone have any problems with the county board minutes of August 27th, 2019? So I need a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Meyer, to approve the county board minutes as presented on page 12. All those in, any discussion? All those in favor of approval of the county board minutes of August 27th, 2019, signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay, county board minutes are approved. Thank you. And we have committee minutes that have come to us, and they've been approved by their committees, so we are acknowledging their receipt.
I'll move to acknowledge 5.1 through 5.5, all 5 of them.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve 5.1 to 5.5, all of the committee minutes by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Commissioner Meyer. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of acknowledging receipt of the approved committee minutes, 5.1 to 5.5, signify by saying aye. 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 Oppose? Okay. Thank you. We've acknowledged the receipt of the committee minutes. Item number 6, consent comments and approval of agenda. Mr. Fritz?
I have nothing.
Commissioner Ward?
I have a request for information for an upcoming meeting.
Okay. Commissioner Meyer?
Nothing?
Okay. I have a bit of a dilemma because we do have public health students in our audience, and they attend a county board meeting in hopes of seeing some public health discussion. So we could pull item 7.6, which talks about the state health improvement program tobacco work plan. I don't know if that's the will of the board. Okay, let's continue. Commissioner Olson?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Jacob?
Nothing for me.
Attorney Selleck?
I actually do have an announcement.
Okay. Okay, so officially nothing has been pulled, but
Well, I'm sorry. For discussion, being that we have such a great audience, and I do appreciate the nursing students coming. Winona State has a great program, and it's part of their curriculum to attend a county board meeting. So maybe we can pull 7.6 just to highlight what the work plan is.
okay, item 7.6 will become 8.1 under general business. Any other changes to the agenda? Okay, can we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Ward, seconded by Commissioner Jacob, to approve the agenda as amended with item 7.6 moved to general business discussion of 8.1. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Okay, so we have our comments listed and we have approval of the agenda. Mr. Fritz, can you read the consent business into the record, please?
I will. Consent business committee recommendations. 7.1, approved conditional use permit for Mike Sherman to allow single-family dwelling of less than 40 acres, on less than 40 acres. Department recommendations. 7.2, approved letter of support for SEMCRA application for Department of Housing and Urban Development Section 18 program. 7.3, approved contract cancellation with Avenue Insights. 7.4, 7.4, approve letter requesting state disaster assistance. 7.5, approve memorandum of understanding with Winona Health Services to formalize a referral partnership with Winona Community Hub. 7.6 has been pulled to discuss. 7.7 is approve Personnel Board of Appeals resolution. 7.8, confirm payment of disbursements. That concludes the consent agenda.
Okay.
Move approval.
Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda as read, the consent agenda as read by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approval of the agenda as read into the record signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. We are on to general business 8.1, which was formerly 7.6, approve the SHIP tobacco work plan. It starts on page 74 of the agenda. The SHIP tobacco work plan was developed by the SHIP committee, the State Health Improvement Program Committee, which is local and works on issues that are local issues that come up through various means, including a survey that the hospital does for us. So can you speak to that, please?
Sure.
Jill?
Thank you for having us and for the students to
Yeah,
be here.
introduce yourself.
Sure, Jill Johnson, I'm a supervisor for Winona County, now it's Health and Human Services. So, and the nurses, nursing students have been over in our department, going around. They will be assigned to work with some of the clients that we have and to do projects that we have going on. The SHIP program is a state health improvement partnership. It's been around for, I believe, 10 years at this point, and was developed and approved by the legislature to address chronic illness, chronic health conditions, and it strives to work with the area, as you had said, partners throughout the community. So we have a community leadership team that discusses and comes up with some of the plans. There are many grants, and again, just to put a plug in for that, those will be available again. I believe it's up to 2,700 that can be used for a number of different chronic health issues. And right now, what has been put before the board here is to just approve the tobacco plan. And what they have come up with this year for us to work on is redoing ordinances. The city of St. Charles has their own ordinance and licenses tobacco facilities. And then Winona County has an ordinance, and we do the licensing for everywhere else within the city of Winona and any other city that has a facility that might be selling tobacco products. Jeff and I have worked, and we had an intern that did a wonderful job revamping our ordinance, and we've sent it through the county attorney's office now. So it's ready to come to the advisory and then to the board at some point here in the future. What we did with ours is just basically update language and include the vaping language as the electronic cigarette devices, because that, as everyone knows now, has become quite an issue throughout the community and the country for that matter, with what's been happening with that. So we look forward to bringing that forward. I think that, the students will be involved in maybe looking at some of the issues that we have going on with the ordinance and how that process happens. And then also working with St. Charles, City of St. Charles, to get that done. I know there'll be other items with the tobacco plan that they haven't really fully developed yet. Andrea's been working with the American Lung Association and some other organizations to determine, what type of education can be done. One of the things that has been looked at in the past is doing outreach for rental properties, looking at potentially having rental properties where smoking would not be allowed within buildings. That has been floated. I don't know how far that's gone or if they've talked with the landlords about that yet, but that's one of the other issues that's been coming up in the in meetings that we've been having. And I know Marie and Marcia, you attend a lot of the meetings. You too, Krista,
Yeah, sometimes.
leadership meetings. If you have anything else to add on that.
Okay, Commissioner Ward.
Yeah, for the students in the audience, SHIP came about probably prior to your being born, Governor Arnie Carlson appeared on the cover of, it was Carlson, wasn't it? The Time magazine, and he was holding a big, probably an,
Well, that was Wendy Anderson.
was that Wendell Anderson? Okay, yeah, I'm dating myself, Wendell Anderson. But he was holding a fish, he was holding a big fish, and it said, "The Good Life in Minnesota." And Minnesota has always been very high in state rankings as far as quality of health, but we have slipped. We're not as healthy as we used to be. And part of that is a shift from, agrarian lifestyle to, urban dwelling, and there's a lot of factors. But then, wasn't it the governor that put the SHIP dollars? It is state tax dollars that fund this, and it is quite a chunk of change, and it has to be approved by the legislature every 2 years. And so it is amazing that they have continued to fund these activities. Part of the concern with the tobacco and this vaping now is tobacco always thought it was a long-term thing. If you smoked young, it'll catch up to you, when you're later in your life. And I don't know how much real news, young people watch, but this vaping is, and just within the last couple of weeks has been traumatic. It doesn't take but a couple, times even to do this, they're trying to figure out if it's the oils that coat the lungs that cause bacteria and such. It's very serious. So if you see any of your, the word I would say is if you see and have any friends that are vaping, to just really ask them to consider what they're doing to their lungs, because it is a great unknown, and that's part of this education process and everything. It is the unknown. We don't know what's causing it or how it can be corrected or anything. So maybe carry a pack of gum with you and tell them to chew gum or something, some other vice instead of this right now, because it is a serious health crisis, along with all the other things going on with the drugs and the opioids and things like that. But this is the newest, latest one, and so just don't do it, I guess is the message. And SHIP is locally trying to do a lot of education and stuff like that. And it's amazing. I know Marie brought the number of products that don't even look like vaping devices that are in, people's hands and stuff.
Could be in your backpack, yeah.
Yeah, it could be in your teenage or middle school or, backpack, not, and stuff. But again, we're all adults and we have choices also, so take it responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Olson?
Jill, has there been any discussion, I know I've heard some different areas of changing from 18 to 21 tobacco laws?
Well, we have talked about that some, and that would be something if we were directed by the board to look at. We thought that might get through the state this year. They were discussing it at the legislature, but it never really quite happened. I do know there are several counties. Olmsted has gone to tobacco 21. Some cities have gone to it. Right now, it's not in our ordinance as we have it rewritten, but that's something that the board would have to direct if they wanted us to look at that.
Thank you. I have two questions. If the county board did discuss licensing, we would cover all the communities except the city of St. Charles?
Yes, we do now. We actually do license those
Okay,
facilities.
because usually when we change an ordinance, it only affects the rural areas of the county.
No,
not
we
the-
are doing the cities also.
Okay.
Just like food and beverage.
Okay.
We did those within the cities. But if a community has their own ordinance, then obviously we wouldn't.
Okay, that clears that up for me, thank you. And just to remind folks, today what we're discussing is the State Health Improvement Program Plan, which is mostly education and outreach. And the new part of it would be that as part of the education and outreach, they would include vaping
Right.
as part of tobacco
The way our
products.
ordinance is now, it's sort of in there, but it's not really
Right.
stated in there. This will.
There's a lot of
stay in
communities
there.
with that. Yeah, and I think there are around 40 communities in the state of Minnesota, counties and municipalities that have moved to T21. And the whole state of Michigan, I would have to check whether they've banned sale of the product entirely or whether they've moved to T21. At least on a temporary basis, the governor took that action for 6 months so that they could study the issue and make some clear decision about what they want to do, because it is recognized as a health crisis. I also want to stress something Jill was saying is that there are grants available to community organizations. You just need to go to the Winona County SHIP, S-H-I-P website. The application runs year-round. There's no, like, by June you have to get this in. You could apply now. If you have something that would require a small number of dollars just to fund a community project, and it has to be related to some of the SHIP goals. But just so you know that this could help some community organization, and it has helped many in the past. Other goals from SHIP have been healthy eating.
I was
in
going
order
to
to
bring that
address
up. That's still another.
Right.
Healthy eating, the worksite wellness is a big one.
Right, obesity,
Yes.
blood pressure, diabetes, that's all under the kind of healthy
Right.
eating and the active living statements. And then the work site wellness has addressed helping work sites change some of their policies about wellness programs in there, and also providing informational programs to their wellness programs at different places. So it's been a very active committee. Any other discussion on the board?
No, I'll move to approve the tobacco work plan.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the tobacco work plan as presented by Commissioner Ward, seconded by Commissioner Meyer. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval of the SHIP tobacco work plan signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. And thank you, students. So you have seen government in action. You see how we discuss issues. You might even see what the next steps could be. So hopefully you'll be able to join some of these campaigns in the community on public health issues. That is the general business section of our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
We have two things.
Oh, committee reports, excuse me. Commissioner Ward.
Yes. Last night at the extension meeting, I was asked about, and we discussed very briefly, members that are terming off our citizen committees and the need for new applicants, and the process that we require people to go through to, the big one was reapplying. If they're eligible for a, reappointment, do they have to fill out that very complicated application? And something I think that we should maybe look at. But I also would like staff to prepare a grid of our citizen committees and who is terming off and where the openings are. Because some of these committees only meet quarterly, and we need to figure out and advise them if they're, if they want to be reappointed, they have to fill out an application. So if we could just get an update of, because it's, it'll be October and appointments need to be
Yeah, we'll be
considered.
providing the schedule for the reappointment process and that information soon.
Right, but can we review a reappointment application, maybe a scaled-down application?
That would be something that, well, I was going to first say that the board, if they want to see a scaled-down application, that would be the first thing. And then
Yeah.
second is our ability to do that, so. And I think.
Yeah, I would second.
So you're proposing that as a future agenda item, that the board review the reappointment process?
Right, yes.
And we have a second, so we can put that on a future agenda.
And Ms. Holte, has a HR perspective that,
As communication, the process for reapplying, once they have entered their information in UltiPro, which is the program we use for accepting applications, all they have to do is select the committee that they desire to participate in or be considered for and hit reapply.
okay, because it used to be we didn't keep that information.
Right,
So this has
is an
changed.
Electronic system, we do now, and so all they have to do is reapply.
Okay,
It's very simple.
okay.
I don't know how we could make it more more simplified.
Okay,
scenario.
well, that's a change then, okay, because we used to did not keep that information, and they had to totally resubmit, and that's what they were referring to. Okay, all right,
So we don't need to bring that up because we've already addressed it then.
right, maybe we need a tutorial on what it looks like.
But we will be giving you the information on the schedule and all that soon, so.
I feel like it's very simple to anyone familiar with the UltiPro system. If your name is, well, I won't use a name, but if you're a farmer in Saratoga Township and you don't even have internet connection and you don't use the internet, that really isn't helpful. And we've got some of those people on our committees.
We handle those individually, though,
Okay.
as a, in a person-to-person situation. So and maybe part of it is,
Last year, someone fell through the cracks who wanted to reapply, didn't get to reapply, and isn't on the committee.
yeah, no, I'm talking about going forward. Each year we've learned there have been issues, but going forward, when we communicate, and part of it is making sure we communicate to everybody that's on every committee that if they can't get computer access or don't have computer access, to contact us or contact their department and then go through the process.
Yeah, I think we're veering into discussion of the issue. Really, before us is the idea or the option that the board needs to review the reappointment process, and we've had a motion and a second to put that on a future agenda. Do we need to withdraw that based on the information?
No, but, well, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but we do that every year. Every year, we're scheduled in October to bring the process to the board to reaffirm it prior to the actually taking the process and implementing it for the year.
Okay,
So we're already on track to do that, but
Okay.
you could, a motion would just be redundant. but-
okay, so it's
Yeah, I
scheduled
would
for
still-
October.
Right, I would still leave it there.
That's fine.
In particular with some meetings only meeting quarterly, and say somebody doesn't attend that meeting, we really need to follow up if they're eligible for reappointment. I think that's what happens, so, motion, yeah, leave the motion there.
Okay. Attorney Selleck.
Yeah, and I apologize. I generally take the position that the less you hear from attorneys, the better. But I did want to publicly invite the board and anybody else to the formal ribbon cutting ceremony for the 3rd Judicial District's Veterans Court on September 20th at 1:30 in Fillmore County. I think Judge Looning came in sometime in, I want to say, February, or one of those winter months, and talked to the board about what we're doing with the Veterans Court. We've kind of been running it informally since, I want to say, April or so. And just looking at the breakdown of what I have now, so far we've been able to help vets from the city of La Crescent, city of St. Charles. I've got 2 that I've helped out of Wilson Township, 2 out of Winona City, and one out of Lewis and Altura. So it's touched the entire borders of the county, it seems like. Right now, we have 0 vets in jail in Winona County. I have 1 in inpatient treatment in a VA, 1 doing outpatient treatment through non-VA, and then 3 doing inpatient or outpatient treatment through the VA system. And so far, all it's cost is my time. 0 county dollars have been spent so far. So at that September 20th, that's going to be the formal kickoff for the district-wide Veterans Court. 1:30 is our slot in Fillmore County, which is where they're going to house our side of the district's court at. So far, we have confirmed the Minnesota Supreme Court Justice Gildea will be there. Mr. Patrick Kelly, he's the director of the Minneapolis VA healthcare system, will be there. And we're anticipating, not confirmed, dependent on schedule, Governor Walz also being there too. That's also a significant day. It's National POW MIA Day. We are looking for any vets. We don't have any that have jumped up yet, but if there are any vets that have been POWs that are looking to be recognized on that day, the judge does want to recognize them at that event too. So.
Good. Thank you for that announcement. I did announce earlier that I had attended the Veterans Court as a multi-district court, and since Winona County had the most participants, we've set up a pilot program for a secure CCTV system, and I went to the first session where they used that system, and it seemed to work. I was very impressed by how the system worked, how the staff was working on both ends. There were staff at the actual meeting with the judge, and there were staff over here, and they were able to collaborate through that system and through their former communication. So I was very impressed with how that was working. And actually, I was quite impressed, probably not so positively, but the issues are very serious and very complicated for these veterans. So I appreciate this court diversion program, and anybody who wants to go on the 20th at 1:30, just turn up at the courthouse in Fillmore County. So thank you, Attorney Selleck, because I know you're a member of that team. So, anything else, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Meyer. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Oppose? Okay, we are adjourned. And